consultancies, and I've also worked for government as well. I've worked both sides of the table. I've worked here in the UAE, and I've also worked in other GCC countries. And now, with all my experience, I've set up my own consultancy advising on transportation. My company is called TMP Consult, Transport Mobility Planning. And I very much hope one day I have the opportunity to work across all of the Emirates with my new business. So one of the questions that I always get asked is, what is the future of transport? What do we want to see from the future of transport? And I often think the answer is very simple. It's what do we want the future of transport to look like? What do we feel is important as human beings? Do we want to be in cars, in traffic jams? Do we want to be congested in our journeys to and from work or dropping the kids off to school? Or do we want something different for ourselves that is very human scale? And I think the key message, and I think you'll hear this message a lot through the interviews that I'm doing today, we're going to be talking about the economics of transport. We're going to be talking about the social connectivity and cohesion. And we're going to be talking about how all of this is governed, how it's all brought together. So for me, that's my very brief introduction to me and what I believe in terms of transport sustainability. We have 3 speakers for the first keynote session today. The first speaker, in fact, I'll introduce all the speakers. We have 3 today. We have Dr. Diraj Bhardwaj, the CEO of Door to Door. We have Wael Ibrahim Mohamed Mahmoud, the CEO of Muwasalat Misr Egypt. And we also have Khatib Belkouja, Marketing Director of Al Futtaim Motors. Now, to start this session off, I'm going to welcome up to the stage Dr. Diraj Bhardwaj, the CEO of Door to Door, who will be giving a short presentation first. Then there will follow a video from Wael, and then myself and the 2 panelists, we will do an interview session here on stage. If anyone has any questions during the panel session, please just raise your hand. I will always be looking for people to speak and get involved in the session. And make sure everyone can hear me, right? There's no, the back, you can hear me? Perfect. I think it's perfectly set up for you. Please welcome up on stage Dr. Diraj.
Very good morning. Thank you, Martin, for the introduction. I'm going to walk you through a very short presentation to talk about the building smart, sustainable, and the sustainable transport future. Great, perfect. So, as Martin said, I'm the CEO for the Door to Door and CityLink. This is something new, but I've traveled here from Kuwait. So I'm originally from somewhere else, but my company is the headquarters based in Kuwait. Okay. So let's understand. Let's bite the bitter pill, as we say, that the cities are suffering from inefficiencies, right, in the mobility. The first thing, if you think about, the cities have started investing heavily in mass transit, like metros. But have they figured out how to bring people from their homes to the metro? And then what happens once they reach to their destination, other station, and go to that station? The first mile, last mile. I think these investments, without connecting them to the first mile, last mile, are going to be challenging, right? The second is that the non-sustainable transport modes, right? So you have the private vehicles, the personal cars. Everybody's favorite. People don't want to give up, and they want to. And there's no doubt that there is the convenience what you get from a personal car, personal vehicle. Nothing else can serve you. But we need to think bigger than that. We need to think congestion. We need to think other things. Then you have a problem with the mode of transport, right? If you think about a bus can take 40 to 50 passengers while the car takes only 1, right? And the reason why people do it, there's a lack of the mobility options for passengers, right? The shared and on-demand mobility. There's not enough shared on-demand mobility, right? If you think about the Uber Careems, yeah, they are on-demand mobility, but what happens? It's the same story, that one vehicle, one person, right? It's not solving the problem, what we want to solve. Then you have the reliability and comfort. There's nothing much. There's something which comes near to your door, you pick you up, take you to the bus stop or the metro station. That's not good enough, right? And so the convenience, and then this is the major problem, that we do not have enough mobility solutions, options for passengers. Looking at what's happening, how the mobility is being disrupted, right? You heard the first session from the Uber, right? What is disrupting? Let's look at, there are 5 key things which are disrupting. Behavioral shift. Gen Zs, they don't want to own the car. They don't care. They are all on the computers. They don't want to own the car. They want to use that. They have a different objectives in life, right? That behavior is changing. But they do care about the future, right? They do care about the environment. So that is a big shift. I can tell you from my personal experience, my son, he's 25, works in San Francisco for the Amazon. He doesn't have a driving license. He doesn't want it. I talked to him. He said, why do I need it? I have a Waymo. I just book it Waymo. I don't need it. Why should I buy a car, then I pay the insurance, then I pay the fines, then I do the maintenance? I don't need it. That behavioral change is really, really good, and it's happening. Next is the decarbonization pressures, right? We are talking about electric, hybrid, hydrogen, and all those things are coming up. The digital, right? Now you think about it. Today you order everything, your food, your clothes, your groceries, everything on your mobile. Then why not the mobility, right? So everything is digitally connected. And I'll tell you, in Kuwait, something what in the last 3.5 years, what we have done is we digitalized the whole Kuwait, the city group, city bus, public transport. Means that everything, right, if you are a public transport professional, you will understand that everything starts from planning, scheduling, dispatching, then monitoring, then you are issuing the tickets, and then you're finishing the journeys and doing the accounting and everything. We have digitalized the whole thing. There is a full digitalization from end to end, and that actually make it very, very efficient. Then we talk about, the modal shift. So there is a shift in the modes, right? Now we are talking about the air taxis. We are not just talking about traditional buses and the metros. We have the autonomous vehicles, we have the air taxis, and other modes of transportation. And this very important part is basically the on-demand, and it bringing the inclusivity and transport and mobility for all. Paratransit, that's called paratransit in US, there's called NEMT, which is non-emergency medical transit, your on-demand mobility, on-demand ride-sharing, ride-pooling, right? So these are the shifts which are changing. Now, if you look at the future of mobility, what's emerging? We talk about MaaS, right? Mobility as a service. We have been talking about several years. Now, the mobility, the MaaS 2.0 is really coming together, right? Which means you connecting all your mass transit. So basically, what you need, I call it, what you need today is one new mobility mode, that is the mobile app. That means you plan your journey from A to B, you pay for one time, and your mass transit to your micro mobility, your soft mobility, and you reach your destination. That is MaaS. And there's an AI personalization which is going to add to the MaaS 2.0. Autonomous and the human hybrid systems, autonomous vehicles are everywhere now, right? Urban air mobility, it has become a reality, right? We are seeing that all the Emirates have been testing. Qatar tested, Saudi Arabia testing it, everybody is testing it, right? It is becoming a reality on it. AI-led operations, of course, nowadays, the digital operations, we used to talk about the operations, drivers. Today, we have operations on ground, and we have more on digital operations. Digital operations are hugely important, which are driven by the AI and guiding the drivers and the systems through the generative AI. Now, regenerative transport means that we are looking at alternative, the energy and energy sources for running the vehicles. And the new success metrics, they are emerging. Today, one of the most important success meter is the customer experience. It's no longer how many trips you have done, how many passengers you moved. The most important one is how many passengers are happy, how many passengers are not happy, right? So, in summary, what are the 3 pillars of future of transport? Definitely the smart mobility. That means digital mobility, right? You need to run the physical operations, but everything is controlled, planned, scheduled, and controlled through the digitalization. The second, which is my favorite, is shared mobility. Let me tell you, without shared mobility, you're not going to solve the problem on the traffic, on the roads, or anything what you see today, face today. You're not. The reason is very simple. You're bringing autonomous vehicles. Are they going to solve the problem? No. Until you put more than one passenger in the vehicle, still a 40-ton or 60-ton of metal will be driving one passenger, and it's not going to reduce the traffic on the roads, right? Shared mobility is the only answer which can actually make this happen. And then you have the sustainable mobility, means we cannot no longer continue to run, diesel vehicles and the petrol vehicles. We cannot, because we have to care about the environment as well and think about our future generations. Now, so what is important? Because now what has happened is that when you design a public transport service, you design for the peak demand, right? And then what happens when you have a off demand? Now the change which demand responsive transport is bringing, and this is something which we are trying to do at door-to-door and CityLink. So today, when you are going to the mass transit, to the metro and the bus, you have to go to the mass transit. You have to go to the bus stop, or you have to go to the metro station. What we are doing is that we are trying on a demand responsive transport. We are bringing the transport near to your door. So we are changing. You're not going to the public transport. Actually, public transport coming to your door. That's the transformation. That's the thing the future of the demand responsive transport is going to do. Now, look at this DRT. This is the demand responsive transport. What is this changing? Okay. So if you look at these 2 axes, one is the special coverage, another time is the basically your waiting time. So you have the rapid transit, which is your metro or the classic bus, right? On the other hand, which is your more convenience, which is taxi and the ride hailing. And we all know there is a big gap in between, because not everybody can afford to have the taxi and ride hailing. Kareem, Uber are way too expensive. And the mass transit, you have to go to the mass transit. And imagine the temperature. I come from Kuwait. You know the Kuwait summer temperature goes up to 60-degree temperature. You cannot walk for 2 minutes, right? Impossible. So what's your option? You just pick up your car and go. Why would you use the mass transit, right? That's why Kuwait doesn't have the metro, by the way. They only have the city buses. So this is the closing the gap. DRT is closing the gap. And that's closing the gap is making the public transport more accessible and available. Now, what we're doing is a case study. We are trying to improve the quality of public transport through the on-demand. It comes on the demand. It's not running around, not like taxi, going around all the time to find the passengers. No. It is all AI-driven platform. So looking at the macroeconomic factors, which is the 70% of MENA population is expected to live in urban areas. That you see how the growth in the UAE, the cities is, the metro cities, right? The first mile, last mile is a big challenge. It's a huge challenge. There's a lot of, the traffic congestion is contributing to a huge GDP losses, huge amount of losses. The traditional mass transit modes are not very efficient, because if you look at it, as I said, that during the peak time, you will see the buses being filled, but during the daytime, there's nobody in the buses. The load factor is very low. And there is a technologies which are evolving, which is creating opportunity for us. So what we have done, we have launched the on-demand bus, on-demand mobility, on-demand bus surveys. In Kuwait, we have been running for last 3 years to complement our city buses. But it has become a B2C, is a mainstream public transport. We are running almost like 70 vehicles. We have done almost 1.5 million rides in the last 3 years. We are running in Dubai under the RTA pilot project as an on-demand bus. We are running in Saudi Arabia under the TGA's sandbox program in Riyadh, and we are just about to launch we are working with the Jeddah to launch in Jeddah and other cities and this surveys, let me give you the stats. 70% of our rides are pool rides, means you will have 70% of the rides are done with more than 2 passengers in the vehicle, right? And these are small vehicles in Dubai and Kuwait are 11-seaters. Saudi Arabia, we're running 8-seat vehicles. And this is, in Saudi Arabia, it's helping a lot with the metro, connectivity to the metro in first and last mile, right? In Kuwait, it's a mainstream public transport. So these are the things which we are trying to expand, and this is how we're doing it. And this runs on our mobility platform, which we own it, called Door to Door, which runs everything in a semi-autonomous mode. This platform, as I said, if you are running an autonomous vehicle with one booking, it's not going to help, right? You need to, the pool, we use the dynamic routing. So our key is the dynamic routing and the shared ride pooling service. Our platform, currently the way we run in a semi-autonomous way. Our drivers don't use their brain. They just use the system and drive on the roads. Tomorrow, once we have the autonomous vehicles, this platform runs on the autonomous mode. People said, okay, fine, this is on-demand, what are the use cases? I mean, is this for only to transfer the employees? No, this is for a mainstream public transport. You use it from morning to drop the school kids, to the day, go and to your malls, to your shopping, to your appointments. In the evening, you go to your, go to meet and friends, have dinners, and it runs throughout the day, and we continuously operate as a mass transit. Let me tell you one more stat when I'm very proud of. Kuwait and Dubai, the 40% of our passengers are women because they feel very safe in these vehicles because it's a shared ride. So there's somebody else, they're not alone in the vehicle. Based on that, I'll conclude my talk, and thank you very much for listening, and looking forward to the questions from Martin. Thank you.
Okay, we are now going to have a video presentation from Wael, who is the CEO of Muwasalat Misr Egypt. He's an experienced transport leader with strong background in public mobility operations and urban transport development. And I believe the video will be coming up here very shortly, so I shall leave you with that.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. في البداية بحب أعبر عن سعادتي بمشاركتي في هذا المؤتمر في النسخة الثانية ليه، والحقيقة كنت بود إن أنا أبقى موجود، ولكن نظرا لظروف معينة منعتني من الحضور، وأتمنى إن مشاركتي دي تحقق استفادة لحضراتكم جميعا إن شاء الله. إحنا هنتكلم عن موضوع إزاي نبني مستقبل نقل ذكي ومستدام، وإيه اللي خلانا نفكر ان احنا نعمل حاجة زي كده، او الدول كلها او العالم يتجه لهذا الاتجاه. في نفس الوقت ايه الفوائد اللي ممكن تعم علينا لما نعمل نقل ذكي ومستدام. الحقيقة ان شبكات النقل ومنظومة النقل في الوقت الحاضر بتمثل جزء كبير جدا من مساحة اي مدينة ومرافقها الحيوية. بتشكل الطرقات اللي هي موجودة داخل المدينة، ده عبارة عن شرايين حياة في المدينة، وبتعد من ابرز الظواهر البشرية اللي موجودة في المدينة. كونها بتمثل مركز تجمع سكاني وبتظهر فيها الكثير من النماذج المادية الفريدة. تنظيم النقل جوه المدينة ده تنظيم حيوي معقد، وبيعبر عن استعمالات لطبيعة الأرض المختلفة اللي موجودة في المدينة، والتي لا يمكن أن تؤدي وظائفها بدون حركة الناس والبضائع. احنا ما بننقلش ناس فقط أو بضائع فقط، بالعكس احنا بننقل بضائع وبننقل ناس، وبيمتد نطاق تأثيرها الحضري والاقتصادي والاجتماعي خارج حدودها بفعل عامل النقل الذي يعتبر المسؤول عن تدوير حركة الحياة داخل المدينة. ايه الآثار السلبية للنقل الغير الحضري أو النقل الغير المستدام؟ أول حاجة الانبعاثات الكربونية، اللي هي بتمثل حوالي 24% من الانبعاثات العالمية، دي صادرة من وسائل النقل التي تستخدم الوقود الأحفوري. ومن المتوقع أن تصل انبعاثات الوقود الأحفوري العالمية إلى مستوى قياسي جديد في عام 2025، وده طبقا للتقرير اللي اتعرض في كوب 2030 اللي هو كان موجود في البرازيل الفترة اللي فاتت دي. لذلك بتقوم كثير من المدن بسن القوانين التي تساعد على التحول من أنظمة النقل المسببة للانبعاثات الكربونية إلى نظم مستدامة وصديقة للبيئة. الحاجة الثانية التحول السكاني والازدحام المروري. التحول السكاني من المناطق الريفية إلى المناطق الحضرية، وده مدفوعا بالاحتياجات الاجتماعية والاقتصادية. فوفقا لآخر تقرير للأمم المتحدة عن آفاق التحضر، سيزداد عدد الأشخاص الذين يعيشون في المدن من 3.6 مليار إلى 6.3 مليار بنهاية عام 2050. طيب لما الناس هتتجه من المناطق الريفية إلى المناطق الحضرية بالزيادة الرهيبة دي بنهاية عام 2050 طبقا لتقرير الأمم المتحدة، هينتج عن ذلك العديد من الآثار السلبية المتعلقة بسلامة الطرق والازدحام والانبعاثات الكربونية. عشان الآثار السلبية للنقل الغير الحضري اللي احنا اتكلمنا عنها، عشان أحط رؤية وطنية موحدة للنقل الحضري المستدام في أي دولة أو في أي مدينة، أعمل إيه؟ أول حاجة أنا هدور إن أنا أقدم وأوفر تقديم خدمات نقل متكاملة وعادلة بيسهل الوصول إليها وتتوافق مع الأهداف المناخية العالمية. طيب عشان أعمل كده لازم يبقى فيه إشراك لأصحاب المصلحة على المستويين المحلي والوطني من خلال فتح حوار مجتمعي مع العاملين في قطاع النقل والتشاور مع الأطراف المتأثرة بهذه المشروعات. طب أعمل إيه تاني؟ تعزيز الوصول والإتاحة بإعطاء الأولوية لتطوير البنية التحتية بشكل يدعم التنقل النشط والآمن والمريح والممتع بهدف تحفيز التغيير السلوكي نحو وسائل التنقل المستدامة. التأكد من الالتزام بمبادئ الانتقال العادل أثناء تبني التقنيات الحديثة. آخر حاجة تحويل وسائل النقل إلى استخدام الكهرباء بدلا من الوقود وأنظمة المرور الذكية. عشان أعمل تخطيط لنظام النقل، وده حسب رايشمان، أول حاجة بشوف البيئة المباشرة للنظام، البيئة المباشرة للمكان اللي أنا هنظم فيه النقل، سواء كان مدينة أو أكبر من كده أو دولة أيا كان. طب هبص إيه على البيئة المباشرة دي؟ هبص على الوسط الجغرافي اللي هو فيه، شوف التضاريس بتاعته، منطقة جبلية، أرض سهلية، في أي موانع هتبقى موجودة وعقبات، المسافات ما بين الطرق، المسافات ما بين المدن والأخرى اللي هتم ربطها. الحاجة التانية الوسط الاجتماعي والاقتصادي، هشوف أنا إيه حاجات النقل اللي مطلوبة، هل أنا هنقل أفراد، هنقل بضايع، إيه اللي مطلوب بالظبط، إمكانية تلبية الحاجات. الحاجة اللي بعد كده البيئة الإدارية والقانونية، أي حاجة في الدنيا بتنظمها تشريعات، بتنظمها قوانين، هشوف إيه العقبات اللي موجودة، طب إيه هعمل فيه حوافز، لو أنا نظمت نقل بشكل ذكي ومستدام هيبقى في درجة معينة من الضبط سواء على الطرق من خلال أنظمة المرور أو من خلال أنظمة المراقبة للطرق عشان خاطر أمنع حوادث أو أمنع ازدحام. طب المستوى التكنولوجي اللي موجود حاليا واللي انا باصص له بعد كده، امكانيات مختلفه لتلبيه احتياجات النقل. الحاجه الاخيره في البيئه المباشره، ايه هي التوجهات السياسيه اللي موجوده في البلد دي او في المنطقه دي عشان خاطر امشي مع التوجهات السياسيه دي. طيب النظام بحد ذاته، مين اللي هيستعمل وسائط النقل، سلطات المراقبه والتحكم، ومين اللي هيقدم خدمه النقل. طيب نتائج او النظام اللي انا هعمله ده او مفرزات النظام ده، ربط الاماكن ببعضها، المردود التقني هيبقى لو انا هعمل نقل تقيل هيبقى طن على الكيلو او راكب على الكيلو، النسبه بتاعتهم قد ايه، الناتج الاقتصادي سواء كان جوه النظام او خارجه، يعني جوه المدينه او خارج المدينه او جوه الدوله او خارج الدوله، زائد النتائج السلبيه ودي مهمه جدا اللي هتنتج عن ان انا هنظم نقل في منطقه معينه بوسائل معينه سواء ضجيج او تلوث او حوادث او تشوه بصري. عشان اعمل سمارت موبيليتي، تنقل ذكي، لازم يبقى عندي 3 ركائز. 3 ركائز دول تكنولوجيا، تخطيط المدينه نفسها، والحوكمه اللي هي التشريعات والقوانين اللي هتنظم لي التنقل ده. طب لما اجي اتكلم على التكنولوجيا، في قانون لآرثر كلارك، وده عالم بريطاني، بيقول إن أي تكنولوجيا متقدمة بما فيه الكفاية لا يمكن تمييزها عن السحر. تكنولوجيا طول ما هي متقدمة، تقدم يوفي احتياجاتي ورغباتي، دي بالنسبة له هو بيعتبر إن ده ماجيك، سحر. فلما اتكلم على التكنولوجيا في مجال التنقل، لو انا اتكلمت على الكونكتد موبيليتي، بتعتبر تكنولوجيا التنقل سحر ماجيك بيساعد على خلق تجارب نقل متكاملة وسلسة. ده بتسمح للمركبات بالتواصل مع بعضها ومع البنية التحتية المحيطة بتاعتها. شيرد موبيليتي، الاستخدام التشاركي ده حل محل الملكية الفردية، مما ساهم في توفير وسيلة آمنة ومريحة وفرصة دخل إضافية لمقدم الخدمة. فده بدل ما أركب أنا عربيتي الخاصة، لو في وسيلة تشاركية سواء كان فان أو ميني فان أو باص أتوبيس، فده هيوفر لي وسيلة آمنة ومريحة. السيمليس انتجريتد موبيليتي، وده بيمكن المستخدم من التنقل بطريقة سلسة بين وسائل مواصلات مختلفة عند الطلب. اوتوميتد موبيليتي ده من شأنه انه بيقلل بشكل كبير من اعداد الاصابات والوفيات، حيث بتشير تقارير منظمة الصحة العالمية بأن الخطأ البشري هو العامل الرئيسي في أكثر من 90% من حوادث الطرق المميتة. الاوتوميتد موبيليتي بيساعد وصول الأفراد ذوي الإعاقة أو التقدم في العمر من الوصول للأماكن اللي هم عايزين يوصلوا لها، ويتيح الأبواب أمام اقتصاد الباسنجر ايكونومي، اقتصاد الراكب في المستقبل، والتي تقدره شركة انتل بما يعادل 7 تريليون دولار في 2025. أيضا تكنولوجيا الهايبر لوب، ده هيمكنك ان انت تسافر من لوس انجلوس لسان فرانسيسكو في 35 دقيقة بدل من 150 دقيقة في قطار عالي السرعة، او تسافر من القاهرة لأسوان في 50 دقيقة.
Okay, thank you. So now I would like to welcome up our two panelists for the next session. So first of all, could everyone please welcome up on stage Khatib Belkoja, the Marketing Director of Alpha Tame Motors. Please welcome. And also please welcome up Dr. Diraj Bawaj, from CEO of Door to Door. That definitely works. Great. Okay. Can you all hear us? Can you all hear us at the back? Put your hand up if you can hear. Fantastic. Very good. Okay, so as I said, I'm really excited to be here. I'm really excited to be talking to these two gentlemen today about the sustainable transport and what that means for not just the Middle East, for UAE, for Ajman, but also what does it mean for transportation in general, because everything that we're going to talk about applies both globally but also has very important repercussions right here. Now, before, I think to start off, I'd be very interested, Khatib, if you were able to sort of just give us a little bit of an introduction to yourself as well, just a bit about your background and your interest in sustainable transport.
Absolutely. Good morning or almost good afternoon to everyone. I'm Khatib Belkoja. I'm currently the marketing director for Alpha Tame Motors, in charge of Toyota and Lexus. I was part of Alpha Tame Automotive as a whole for now the last 5 years, most recently in charge of customer centricity, so therefore anything around customer experience but also understanding customer needs was part of my main remit. And through this tenure, we've done extensive research to understand what were the insights related to how customers want to actually own and drive a car, purchase a car, lease a car, subscribe to a car, what type of, let's say, engine or powertrain that they would be wanted to have, thinking about like what Dr. Diraj said earlier, the Generation Z, which is a growing, new population which has different needs. They don't necessarily want to walk away entirely from cars, as you said. It's just that they see it differently. They don't have the same relation towards the legacy brands that are around us, and that is a job for us at Toyota and Lexus to actually shift our perceptions regarding to that. So mode of ownership. I've been involved, in fact, with Alpha Tame Automotive in my previous role in the partnership that we had as a sponsor for COP28. So definitely hosted a lot of surveys and negotiations and conversations with governments, with other private companies, and it's distinguished speakers around the world around the thematic of smart cities, decarbonization, the role of transports, and also the role of, distributors in that, which is not always very obvious. We tend to talk about OEMs, the one who are manufacturing cars, but through the conversation, I hope we can also show that as a distributor, we do have a role to play in this conversation. So that's pretty much a short introduction on my side, yeah.
Great, thank you very much, Khatib. And sort of same question to you, Dr. Draj. Obviously, you gave your presentation, so just perhaps a short introduction to yourself and really what brought you into this business? Maybe a little bit of history about yourself. How did you find yourself here?
Thanks, Martin. I have a very long history of career of 35 years, by the way. I worked interestingly, I worked from the space, the space organization, on the satellites to, to the supercomputers, to the construction. And for the last few years, I've been working with the mobility transport. And they're all connected in the ecosystem in some way or other. So just to give you briefly, about 4 years ago, after doing my stint in Dubai with RTA Dubai as a consultant with PricewaterhouseCoopers, number of strategies, number of projects I've done in the region. But about 4 years ago, I moved to Kuwait to transform the public transport in Kuwait. So I'm part of the city group, which is part of the Budai Corp, which owns the Jazeera, if you can recall. We do the surface transport. So in Kuwait, the place like Kuwait, when we were looking at the transformation, the only way you can do things, improve the efficiencies and make public transport more accessible to the people is through digital transformation. And what we did is in last 4 years, we digitalized the whole process. And we digitalized the city bus operations in Kuwait. And we realized that because of the temperature, the high temperature in Kuwait, we needed something to connect or some public transport to reach to the people's homes. That's where we started on-demand mobility with the CityLink shuttle. So in Kuwait, if you go there, your mobility is on your apps. So you download Citybus app, you download CityLink app, and you're there. And from there, we expanded into Saudi Arabia through the TGA and in Dubai through RTA.
And I think that's really, I think you've both mentioned this already, the customer experience, right? The importance of that. Your door-to-door bus service only really works if the interface with the customers is very clear, it's easy for people to understand. And the same, I imagine, with Al Futtaim as well, right? So the customer experience must be one of your priorities, right? So how do you make sure that the customer experience aligns, from what you're able to provide at Al Futtaim to what the actual customers are expecting? How do you make sure that meets? And given this sort of push for sustainability, where does that sort of all come together for you?
So basically, we're trying to think holistically. When you think about sustainable transport, sustainability is not just about when you actually drive the car, it's also where you buy the car, and the usage you have of it, right? So for us, again, we are not trying to force down anything of the throat of our customers, So I could see from the previous presentation and from the previous speech that there are a lot of different directions that certain companies want to take. However, it has to also be with the understanding of what the customer really wants, in terms of convenience and the way that they want to consume the different mode of transport. So for me, it's like there's not one size fit all. It's multi-path. But going back to your question, when it comes to a customer discovering our models and wanting to actually immerse himself or herself into which is the model that they want to purchase, we're trying to develop new ways through immersive showrooms digitally. So from the comfort of your home, trying to go into a virtual showroom with an AI assistant talking to you about the different functionalities of the car. We've already developed that for certain models. We are looking into rolling it out across the entire lineup of Toyota and Lexus. And that is, in one way, not only providing a lot more information from the comfort of their couch, going through the specificities, the different financial model to actually buy the car, but it also, in a way, eliminates one trip to the showroom to actually, trying to see how we can reduce emissions from that side. It might sound little, but if you think about the thousands of people who are interested, it just reduces the number of trips, And at the same time, when you are thinking and extending all of those use of technology, whether it is generative AI, virtual showrooms, augmented reality, it allows us to think in the future from a network strategy point of view, trying to reduce the number of those big, massive flagship showrooms, which consumes a lot of carbon emission, and going where customers are. So if you naturally plant yourself into a mall or into a high traffic retail area, you're already eliminating certain carbon emission from the space that you are occupying, that's one. And second, you are immersing yourself and integrating yourself where people are already going. So from another point of view, you are eliminating trips to a location that is remotely from anywhere else they would go. If you think about it, showrooms in major cities in the UAE and even outside the UAE, in Europe, etc., they're always located outside the areas that you would usually go. So it's a trip on its own, you know. So we're thinking holistically from that manner. How can we improve the experience online? How we can improve the footfall and the experience offline while eliminating, you know, carbon emissions in the process.
Yeah, Khatib, and I think that's really interesting, right? So even like small changes can make a big difference,
Absolutely.
like in terms of the number of trips. But then it makes me think, well, poor Dr. Beraj here, he's going to be saying, well, hang on, I'm not going to get these trips now because people are not traveling, they're all going to do things online. So, Diraj, how do you sort of see this? Do you see that this is the end of public transport now, that we're all going to be doing much more sort of online systems, or how do you see that sort of progressing?
So I'll tell you two quick stories, I mean real stories, right? So we were as an on-demand bus, we were running as a virtual stop to virtual stop, which is quite a standard thing in this technology platform. And we found that because of the hot weather, people can't walk to the 5 minutes or 6 minutes. So we convert that into door-to-door, means it'll come near to your door. One day, I was sitting with the customer service team, and there was a call, we received a call from a lady, and she said, you are claiming the vehicle will come to door-to-door. I can't see the vehicle. I cannot see the vehicle. Although the driver, we could see on the platform, driver has reached there. I said, then I picked up the phone from customer service, said, Madam, where are you? Oh, I'm in my office inside. I said, Madam, can you open the door so that we can bring the vehicle inside your office? So that's the expectation from customers, right? That's how the extreme expectations of customers come from. Now, how do you deal with those? That is the biggest challenge, and that comes with the education. So we deal with a lot of customer education. Because our service is a ride-pooling service which operates exactly like Uber and Careem. So when the customers book the service, they expect that service will exactly operate like Uber Careem. So we get a complaint like, why this driver is, I booked the vehicle, I'm sitting it, why the driver is picking another customer, right? Why the driver is derouting, he's supposed to go other way around. We had to explain this is an on-demand ride-pooling service. You are not paying the same price what you pay to Uber and Careem. You are paying 30 to 40% less than Uber Careem, and you are a shared mobility public transport service. So there's a lot of educational events.
It's a matter of managing customer expectations.
The education,
right?
I would say. Yeah.
So I'm just going to stop you there because I just want to make sure that we've had an opportunity for people in the audience, if they have any questions for the panelists here, please put your hand up. I'm always happy to share the load for the questions. So if anyone has a question, put your hand up and I will happily introduce you and allow you to ask questions. While you're thinking, just in case you have got any questions, I've got a follow-on question which applies to both of the gentlemen here on stage. This is about the infrastructure, the supporting infrastructure that's required. So when I think about the way that the car industry is changing, not just here in the UAE, but across the world now, we're getting a push for electric vehicles. We're getting perhaps more of a move now towards hybrid vehicles. There's an infrastructure requirement that needs to go with that. And Khatib, do you think this is hindering you? Is it not going fast enough? Or do you think that the pace is at the right speed for Al Futtaim? Or how do you make sure that you're matching the infrastructure requirements that are coming through?
That's a good question, and I think it might sound like a promotional pitch on my side now, but it's something that I am quite fortunate to work for an organization that is Alfutay Motors, and second, distributing cars from Toyota Motor Corporation. I'll explain why. I think Toyota Motor Corporation, from an OEM manufacturer point of view, they have what I believe is the most.
Martin, I have a question.
Oh,
Okay.
very good. Perhaps, Khatib, just finish off your point, and then I'll come to you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Thank you, then.
Sorry, I'll try to be quick.
No, thank you very much.
So they have one of the most pragmatic approach when it comes to both what Dr. Diraj was presenting, which is ways of transporting with connected services and autonomous driving, which goes further than what we believe, in terms of it's not Toyota thinking on their own about how their cars can be more autonomous. They're going forward and wider, which is working with city planners and government, because autonomous cars on their own, it's nothing. It has to actually be able to cooperate and to compute and to connect with the infrastructures in the city, and also discuss with other cars. So you can avoid accident and traffic and congestion situations by having cars talking to each other, while if you go in 3 lanes and in front of you, 1 lane is going to close ahead of time, reading this information and orchestrating and cadencing 1 car to slow down, 1 car to go in the front. So when we look about that, we always think it is down to each OEM to work on their side and improve their technology. What TMC is doing is they are ready to actually go on the table with other OEMs, with city planners, and share what needs to be shared for the greater good. There are always going to be aspects which are going to be kept for technology edge, and unique selling point to customers. But the other aspects, for the greater good, it has to be shared. That's from a mode. Sorry, if you want to.
Actually, I wanted to add on to that, because I think, I know the gentleman there wants to speak, but it's so interesting to me, because my background, of course, is city planning and transport planning. And the interesting part for me is that with autonomous vehicles, for example, it's not going to be about car parking so much in the future.
Not.
It's going to be about cars circulating around. And what will become the most important elements of a city won't be where the cars are parked, but it's where the cars or the buses are going to be picking up and dropping off.
Absolutely.
And that is going to be the challenge that all cities will have to work on.
Absolutely. And if I can just continue developing on this point, your car, when you are at the office, is parked in the garage. It's useless. But in a future that could be very near, provided that the infrastructure in place, that car can do things for you while you are actually, in the office, like you have mentioned, errands, picking up the children, etc., etc.
Yeah.
So, and then when it comes to, from a powertrain point of view, again, the multi-pathway approach from TMC is that, not every region in the world, not every market in the world is capable to adopt a specific powertrain. There are different stages of maturity. So certain markets can go full on EV because most likely the infrastructure allow it. And there's not so many markets in the world that actually can do that. So it's investing in full electric, but it's also investing in hydrogen. It's also investing in hybrid. It's also investing in plug-in hybrid. And it is measuring, what is the readiness market to market to absorb full electric vehicle, and also securing that customers have an interest and an appetite for it. So it can be looked as a commercial play from TMC, but in reality, it's really about, are the infrastructures ready for us to go full on full electric or full autonomous?
And the question, of course, is always which one comes first, right? Do you wait for the vehicles or do you wait for the infrastructure first?
Absolutely.
But I'm very conscious this gentleman's been very patient.
Sorry.
And I can't see you very well, so but perhaps you could introduce yourself and ask your question.
My name is Abdullah Abdurrahman from Muwasalat al-Imarat. Related to the Dr. Diraj, he was speaking about the solution of the congested or traffic on the road. Must use the shared transport. But just now I came across from Dubai to Ajman. The road, it was stopped from there until Ajman. How this bus or shared transportation will be cross this traffic? That's why instead of using a shared buses or whatever, I will use the drone now. There is a drone now flying from Ajman to Dubai or from Dubai to Dubai, I will use the modern transportation. This is my question.
Now,
And I have another question also for Mr. Katib.
Sorry to interrupt you, but we've just run out of time. But I'm going to let Dr. Daraj answer your question, but we'll have to call it a day, unfortunately, at that point, because we've got another very interesting session after this very interesting one. Yeah.
No, thanks, Abdullah, for the question. You're absolutely right. And then this is where the whole thing comes. We have to reduce number of cars from the streets. There's no other answer, right? Not everyone can afford to have the air taxis, right? The air taxis will not be come at a public transport prices what you can afford to. And we cannot have enough number of air taxis to people you see on the road which is stuck in the traffic to move around from Dubai to Ajman, right? The only way you can do it is through the shared mobility. What bus can do is, bus takes 50 people, 40 people, takes away 50 cars from the streets. And if we have more bus transit, more metros, or the train transporting mass transit, we'll reduce the cars from the street. That's the only answer. There is no other answer.
Yeah, I think that's great. And look, first of all, thank you very much, Dr. Raj. Thank you very much, Khatib. A big round of applause for our two panelists today, please. Thank you.